All right, here we are for episode 5 of Zooming with Dan. Thanks to all those that are tuning in. It's certainly amazing to see each week how many do jump on board. It's been a privilege having the opportunity to chat with a wide range of amazing people within the MND community over the past few weeks. Who would have thought we can provide such great content and valuable information from our guests to the public while sitting in our own living rooms? Or in this case, from my mum's living room because I've got internet issues at home. Last week, I had a fantastic chat with Beck Mason, who is an incredible person and a phenomenal community fundraiser. For those that missed the chat, you can easily find it on our Facebook page. MND Victoria simply can't do what we do if it isn't for people like Beck and everyone else who organises fundraising events and donates to these events. So thank you, Beck, and everyone else that support MND Victoria and the 450 people currently living with MND in the state. Tonight, I'm honoured to have great mates Peter Simko and Russell Lowe with me. Later on, we will hear more about this relationship and why both men are so involved in the MND world. For those that aren't aware, Peter is a driver of an incredible annual fundraising event in Geelong called Off MND. Peter has an amazing team behind him that brings this rock concert to life each year. Since it began, hundreds of thousands of dollars have been raised for MND research. But I'll let Pete talk about that in more detail shortly. I've been fortunate to attend a couple of these events, and it's certainly a highlight of the fundraising calendar. Unfortunately, this year's event was unable to go ahead as it was scheduled, just as the coronavirus was taking over. It had to be cancelled the day beforehand, which was quite heartbreaking. Nevertheless, Pete does have a bit of a surprise for us later on. Russell, who I am delighted to have with us tonight, simply for the fact I don't think he's logged into a computer for years, let alone knowing what Zoom is until a couple of weeks ago. And I think his Zoom experiences have been virtual pubs. But anyway,
he's a fast learner, though, Daniel.
But who needs to understand this form of technology when you have such a big heart and passion to help a great friend? Russ has helped Peter add to his fundraising total for research grants over the past few years by organising a golf event in the springtime called Off MND. I'll let Russ talk to that soon in more detail, but this is a golf fundraiser on steroids. And that all comes down to the fact Russ is always searching for new and innovative ways to make it bigger and better, to help his mate and ultimately help researchers in their quest to find cause, treatment, and a cure. Probably enough from me for now. So I'm going to hand over to Pete and let Peter talk about why he's involved in the MND world and how unfortunately it came into his life. Over to you, Pete.
Thanks a lot, Daniel, and thanks for having us here tonight. It's a great opportunity to catch up with you. And I guess how I got involved with MND, it was really as a result of my beautiful wife Jen being diagnosed with MND back in August of 2014. So, as you mentioned, we kicked off an event called Off MND. And Off MND, just for those that aren't aware, is a live music event that is an annual event, and its aim is to raise as much funds and community awareness about MND research as we possibly can. And Off MND was originally inspired and conceived by Jen, who was diagnosed in 2014. And the whole concept behind the event was really generated and was really Jen's brainchild. And, a lot of it was really driven by, prior to 2014, there was a real lack of funding around MND research, or we felt there was. For a disease that's, so severe, we were quite shocked when we were looking into it as to, what the funding levels were. So, after Jen was diagnosed, she was absolutely passionate and really driven to try and do something to raise money for MND research. The Off MND team that you touched on, and we'll talk about a bit later, is a true volunteer group. There's no commercial outcomes or arrangements with anyone on the team. It's a fully voluntary organisation. And, you know, as you mentioned, I've got an incredible group of people behind us. But so how do we get it? How did MND start for us? It was, I guess for Jen, it really began with one finger. And it was that finger. She could use the underarm deodorant on that side, but not on that side. And it was just so strange. And but after a short while, it then started, her hands started getting a bit weaker as well. And then it went into her arm and also her shoulder. And we started to notice a bit of muscle wastage. And so then, you know, we went off to have some testing done. And in early 2014, the words MND were first mentioned to us, that it could be that. And I think everyone who's been involved understands the shock of that. But, you know, we refused to accept it. We were told it was one of two things, and the other condition could be tested for, and it was treatable, so it was non-fatal. So, of course, we were held out for that, and we hoped for that. And, you know, Jen was, you know, incredible. She was just so positive through the whole thing. But then, unfortunately, in August 2014, we got that diagnosis. And, you know, that was pretty hard to take. That was a huge hit for all the family and all our friends. And it was such a shock. And even though, you know, we'd gone through a process of about 8 or 9 months through that diagnosis period, when you hear those words, it really hits. You know, I've said to a lot of people, for me, like the world seemed to just stop for about 10 or 15 seconds. It's like I was in a suspended state. As the neurologist said to Jen, you know, gave her those fateful words. So, but in typical Jen style, I remember because Jen was a nurse at Bowen Health. And so the person delivering the news and who we'd been seeing as a colleague of Jen's, and they obviously got on very well and had worked together for a long time. And, you know, the neurologist and I, we were, you know, pretty upset with what was happening. And I always remember Jen just looking at us and with a smile on her face, and after she'd been told the news, saying, "It's okay, I'll be okay." So she was trying to comfort us straight away. It was pretty typical of her. But so yeah, that was the diagnosis. And then, you know, sadly, Jen was only with us for 15 months following the diagnosis and passed away in late 2015. So yeah, that was the MND story for us and how it entered our lives, unfortunately.
Yeah, look, I think everyone that knows you, you know, and the family know what amazing people you are, and the fact we're a number of years down the track now, and you've got Rock Off in Jen's legacy essentially, and and you know, as we were just talking about before, you've raised so far $650,000, which is in anyone's language phenomenal. And you know I'm very appreciative, and everyone that knows you is appreciative that you can utilize your story to raise such significant funds for such a critical thing in research for this horrible disease. So
absolutely, and the great thing about that $650,000 that we've raised is that's actually enabled us to actually fund 8 Peter Simko MND research grants. So we've funded 8 research grants, and if anyone would like to see the details of that, it's on our website. Just go to rockoffmnd.com.au, and there's a research tab there. You can see all the details of the research grants that we've funded, which we're very proud of. And it's also really important, and that's really what drives the team, is to be able to generate those research grants so more and more can be done. So we are very, very proud of that. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, Russell, I want to, obviously you've jumped on board and you organise a amazing golf day now down at Clifton Springs. And I know I've been there once, I think I've been, and I think I've jumped into the prize money, I wish. Got a little trophy. But yeah, brilliant day. And I know you've been doing it for a little while, and hopefully going ahead this year, but you can talk about that later. Tell us a bit more about Tee Off and how you came about to create the event and what it's all about.
Thanks, Daniel. Tee Off came about after the first Rock Off that we saw with Pete and Jen and the kids, the 3 kids, the amount of work that they put in, and I guess you stand back and watch that for Pete even now, to sit back and put all that work in prior to the event and during the night of the event. It's more the enjoyment. I know Pete probably does get enjoyment out of it, but for the rest of us, we get to socialise all the night and drink and dance and get the music going, and where Paul Pete's running around with the kids, you know, counting money and getting things organised. So after the first one in 2015, I think I went up to Pete's place in February, kitchen table, said to Pete, I've got this concept of a golf day, 100 blokes pay $100 each. We can raise a bit of funding. It was mainly a day so that Pete and the two boys and young Laura could come to a day and just do nothing but enjoy the concept. And golf is a vehicle where a lot of people can get around, and we can do that. And since the inception, the Simko family with Jen's brother Pete from Warrnambool, Jen's mum Bev, their support's been amazing. I have got an amazing group of people who support the event from the inception back in 2015. 2016 was the first one, sorry. And we have regular groups come up every year that support the event. So it takes a bit of work to put it together, but knowing I've got that core support year in, year out does certainly make it a lot easier to organise. The first two were held at Clifton at Queen's Park, not far from Pete's place. But then due to outside factors, we moved it to Clifton Springs, and that's where the event has grown. Last year, I came up with a concept of broadening the fundraising capability of the event and put on a bubbles and brunch for the wives, partners, girlfriends of the players, which was a huge success last year. And so we took the event from raising 10 or 12,000 on a day. So last year we raised over 20. So building on last year's success, I just look forward to growing this event and getting and making a big annual event. Clifton Springs Golf Club with Daniel and Mel and young Daniel, the pro down there, a fantastic group, and they do whatever they can or whatever I ask them to make this event successful. And as long as I have their support, we will keep raising money for Jen's grants and for MND Victoria to make sure that we can find a cure, but more so to help support MND Victoria buy or equipment to whatever to make the lives of people with MND a lot easier to cope with. So it's a great honour to be not only part of the Simko friendship, but it's a huge honour to be able to put on an event that raises money to go to such a worthy cause. So that's the nuts of it, Dan.
I love it.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah, and to see, two mates do what you both do and feed off each other, it's quite special, really. Like, you're talking just before we came online about, you just catch up for the odd Friday beer on Zoom now, but then you'll start organising tee off now, and I know Pete's already looking at rock off for next year, 10 months away.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really special to see what you do to support one another and raise massive funds.
And look, Russ is, I just can't get over how Russ, the amount of work that Russ puts into Off MND is absolutely phenomenal. And he just does it with so much passion and enthusiasm. And the amount of effort he puts in is just quite extraordinary. Yeah.
Speaking of the work that Russ puts in, Pete, talk to me about some of the work that he puts in at your event at Rock Off, and
absolutely. I mean, Russ and about 800 others. We were saying just before we came on that last time you saw Russ here, he was having a very, very enjoyable night. And one of the real fun aspects of Rock Off MND is
an understatement.
I think it's a wonderful event in the sense that people typically come for the right reasons to the event. They come to support the cause, but they come to have a great time as well. We've worked very, very hard to try and make it a really great event. And we had some core objectives when we started the whole thing, and one of them was to put on an event that people just really enjoy. And I should probably step back to the start, Daniel, as to, the formation of Off MND, if I've got a couple of minutes on that. And
yeah, please.
it really all began, as I said, after Jen was diagnosed, she was absolutely passionate about trying to raise funds. And our initial idea was, we've got a number of friends who are musos and who can play music. And Jen's thought was, let's hire a public hall, get some friends to play music. We'll have a bar and we'll sell raffle tickets. And look, we might raise $10,000 or $15,000. That'd be great. So then we thought, well, if we're going to do this, let's try and get a bigger reach beyond our friendship group and make it a public event. But as soon as we do that, it's a different perspective and concept. So what we did was we engaged, we thought long and hard about our friendship group and who would be able to help us in putting this together. And, we selected 3 very good friends, Michael, Brett and Wendy, along with the 3 kids and Jen and I, and that was the original committee. And that committee, we met for the first time in January of 2015. And, we basically, all we had when we first met was we thought it could be a really cool venue that we could run the event at. And as you know, the venue, Daniel, it's a lovely courtyard. So you feel enclosed, but in actual fact, it's open air. So the weather was going to be an issue. So in early January, we thought, right, we've got until the end of March to get this event up, because we knew we couldn't wait till spring, because Jen's progression was very, very rapid. And so, that group of people, we had basically 11 weeks to pull this together. We had no name, we had no logo, we had no website, we had no ticketing system. We basically didn't have anything. And in that 10 weeks, that group of people, what they achieved was just absolutely phenomenal. So we had 10 meetings in 11 weeks. And everyone was working full-time. I was caring for Jen full-time by then. It was just an incredible achievement. And on that night, the night arrived, and we basically got 600 people through the doors, which blew us away. And we raised $63,000 on the night. So our original expectation was just blown out of the water, and we thought this was incredible. And the most amazing thing about that night was Jen got up onto stage, and as unwell as she was, she got up on stage and she really wanted to thank everyone. And she gave one of the most moving and incredible speeches. I was standing next to Jen on stage, and you could hear a pin drop, and it was kind of spine-tingling, really. And so that was amazing. And then, sadly, Jen passed away 7 or 8 months after that. But the joy and the pride that she got from that event, seeing her concept, and she was involved in every single decision, and she was emphatic. And worked so hard as she could, to deliver, that first event, and it was just incredible. And then really, I was very, very lucky. A couple of weeks after, after Jen's funeral, I had an opportunity to meet someone very special that could really sort of boost the event along, and I'll talk about that later. And the things just went on from that, but the conception of the event was really quite incredible. How that group came together. And then, people like Russ came along and said, hey, I want to get involved, and this is what I want to do. And, it's just incredible.
Yeah. And just all the avenues that for both your events, you have to raise funds, and let's go to the golf for a tick here. To raise $20,000 at a golf day is insane. Obviously, in the world that I work in, there's a lot of golf fundraisers, and $20,000 is incredible. And talk us through how you can raise that through a golf day.
A lot of sweat and hard work.
I think what I said last year, Daniel, that after we finished on the day, that I look out over the sea of people that are there at the golf day, and like I said just before, so many familiar faces that turn up every year to support the event. It's not me that's raising the money. It's all those people out there with their generosity. Some knew Jen, a lot of them don't. But through Pete and I telling them about how determined and how gorgeous and how strong Jen was. They've all come along on the journey with us. And so, like Pete says, it is a lot of hard work, but you know, you sit here and make phone calls to companies and try to get donations and prizes for the day. And you do have days where it gets tough, where you get 10, 15 phone calls and all you get is a no. But then you just sit back, think about what the event is for and who it is for. And it all comes into, narrows the field. You just pick up the phone and just start ringing other companies and other people. And be very dogged with not getting no for an answer. And in the past, I've been very lucky to get some pretty good prizes for auctions and the raffles.
Yeah.
But once again, the event is only as successful as those people who come along and support it. And so far, I've been blessed with some very, very loving and very supportive and very generous people that turn up. So as long as they're prepared to put up with my ugly head running the event, I'm sure we'll keep it going for quite a number of years. And like I said, we'll try and make it a day on the golfing calendar at Clifton Springs, so that their support. We have a separate day at Clifton Springs for Off MND.
Yep.
They have their own perpetual trophy, which they play for. So we're hoping to build on that side of the fundraising calendar on the day. So the plan is every year I'd like to try and make more than I did the year previously. So, you know, I had a figure in mind for this year, but thanks to C19, that may take a bit of a hit. But I'm sure we'll, in some way, shape or form, put on an event, and then I'll get going and make sure that 2021 is going to be a big one. And I sit here with the money that we raised, 62,200 in the 5 events we've had. The aim is on the 7th event, I hope that we'll crack the 100,000. So that's my objective between now and then, is to get another 38,000 in the door. And I'm pretty sure I can get that, but it's going to take a bit of work, but I'm confident that those figures can be done.
I have no doubt that you'll get there with that attitude of yours. But Pete, let's chat a bit about the 2020 Rock Off event that nearly happened but didn't quite happen.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, look, it was a real shame. It was an absolute disappointment. You know, the fact that we've done 90% of the work, possibly 90% plus of the work, and to sort of have to cancel the day before, it was really disappointing. But I mean, how that happened was, basically Kate Johnson, the CEO of MND Vic, and I got on the phone early Friday morning. It was the weekend of the Grand Prix, and things were starting to really change with COVID and our understanding of it. And during that phone call, I think we both convinced ourselves and each other that the right and responsible thing to do was to cancel it. Going ahead could have really come across as being a bit reckless, and it was pretty much against really what MND Vic stands for as far as caring for people. For us to go ahead was not going to be the right thing to do. So as tough a decision as it was, and costly as well, I was instantly comfortable with the decision, and I thought, right, we're doing the right thing here. And in hindsight, it turned out to be absolutely the case. Within a week of that event, the world was really starting to turn upside down. So yeah, it was a tough call, but it was the right thing to do. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we caught up the day before and on the Thursday, and I know even then you were starting to get a few phone calls asking the question, and on the Thursday it was going ahead still.
It was fine. Yeah,
it was amazing how quickly things changed. And
yeah, we had a major planning meeting Thursday morning, and I asked everyone involved, and everyone was cool, and all the suppliers and we're good to go. But things changed very rapidly, and we were just unlucky. We would have been weekend before, we would have been right. But it is what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is. And look, we sort of spoke earlier about a little surprise. And
Oh, yes.
even though 2020, the event didn't go ahead, I think you've got something to share.
Well, yes, I have, and as I said, we did 90% of the work, and I've got a number of people to thank if I could, before I do reveal a bit of a surprise. But I would like to present the check that we always do at the event. But as I'm at the event, I'd like to thank some people first. And we haven't sort of spoken about the incredible volunteer group that I've got, and actually, before I get into the presentation, I'd love to talk about, the team of people around Off MND. When I look at it, there's upwards of 50 people that get involved in some way for the event. And, I've got the event committee who I'm always so grateful for. And we've got Al Coogan has now joined that committee, and they just do an incredible job. And then there's the raffle selling team. And one of the big turning points for Off MND was after the first event, I met a very successful and significant business person here in Geelong, Rex Gorell. And Rex owns a number of car dealerships around Geelong. And Rex wanted to get on board with the event and with the cause. And he brought incredible support to us. And so Rex has been, giving us incredible sponsorship, has donated a car. For the last 5 years, he's donated 5 cars to us so that we can raffle that. So that's just been incredible support. But in order to do that, we need a team of people that can actually sell the raffle tickets and do all of the work. So I've got a core raffle team, then there's a broader raffle selling group, and then we've got people that help us set up the venue on the day. They're a great bunch of people that just come along and they just get stuck into it. So when I look at all of those people, there is upwards of 50 people that get involved in some way, and it is quite extraordinary. So look, before I present the check, I'd just like to say a sincere thank you to all those people, everyone that's been involved. I've got a bit of a list here. I'll be really quick there. In particular, I'd really like to thank MND Victoria, to Kate, Kathy Nightingale, yourself and Megan Crellin. Thank you so much, guys, for everything that you do. MND's support from day one back in 2015 has been unbelievable. For the committee, for that incredible raffle team, I'm constantly in awe of the amount of time that people spend literally selling raffle tickets on the weekends in the heat of summer. The effort that is put in, I'm always in awe of that group. They are just incredible. To Claire Hazelwood and Georgina Futuris at Deakin Uni, they just put so much effort in to get everything organised, and it was just so disappointing when we cancelled. The organisations that put weeks and months of effort in planning and getting things ready for the event. I'm so sorry we didn't go ahead. In particular, the music workshop, Eureka Corporate Hospitality Group, Jack Rabbit Wines, Flying Brick Cider, and the Dan Event Hire Group. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll be back soon for an event. A big thanks, to Russ for, as he mentioned, the $20,000+ that he raised in October last year at the golf day. It all goes towards the Jenny Simko MND research grants, and it is always so gratefully accepted. We really appreciate it. And this year, I've really enjoyed working with Brett Gorell, who helped us with the Skoda car that we raffled off. And finally, I have to thank Rex Gorell for, as I mentioned, the incredible support that he has given us over the years. It is really quite amazing. So thank you, Rex, if you're watching. So Daniel, shall I grab the check?
Oh, please do.
All right. I am absolutely delighted. On behalf of Off MND, Daniel, I'd like to present to you and to Kate the check this year. As we said, we were hit pretty hard by COVID. We had to refund ticket sales. We missed a lot of concert ticket opportunities, and there was a whole bunch of things that happened that we couldn't make it the full event. But I'm really delighted to present to you. And can you see that? I can't see my.
You rehearsed this well the other day. Is it real? Wow.
Is that okay?
Oh,
I'd
mate.
like to present you with a cheque for $70,796 from Off MND.
Incredible. Look, for an event that didn't actually go ahead, $70,000, nearly $71,000 is incredible. And
yeah, we're very happy. And the great news is, Daniel, and this is the really exciting news that I'd love to mention, particularly to the team, is that I spoke to Kate Johnson, the CEO of MND Vic, the other day, and Kate has confirmed that with this money, together with the money that Russ raised at the golf day, that will be enough for the ninth Jenny Simko MND research grant. So that is the best news. That's what we worked so hard for. And to all the team, thank you very much. Mission accomplished.
well done to you and the team. That is incredible. So thank you. And it's a first for me, accepting a virtual check. Wow. Well,
Spend a while.
I've got to admit, I do like when you do actually get to do it physically on stage, but this is not a bad option. You can present it to the masses. I'm sure there's masses online watching, aren't there?
Yeah, and it's just such a thrill that I was so relieved when I had the combo with Kate the other day, and she confirmed that you'll be fine for another research grant. So sorry.
Credit to you and the team, and just continuing Jen's legacy. So well done, and thank you for all that hard work to you and Russ through the golf day. I guess good segue into jumping ahead to, well, for Russ, hopefully 2020. We touched on it a little earlier, but Off MND 2020, we really hope we can get it off the ground, and who knows where restrictions lie. But yeah, talk through your plans, even though it's a bit hard.
Preliminary talk so far, Dan, it will, providing things don't change and go back into stage 2.
Yeah.
I'm quietly confident that we'll be able to do the golf part of the event. Whether we'll be able to do the sit-down lunch, of course, could be a bit of a contentious issue. But if we can't do the lunch inside, we'll do a barbecue outside for the guys. So in one way or another, we will be playing golf and eating after the event. Organising this year's bubbles and brunch for the girls at this stage is depending on where we go with COVID-19.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
If things improve and we don't go into stage 2 and we get to July and August, it still gives me a little time to maybe put that together. But we certainly, I think we'll have I certainly will have the planning to have the golf day go ahead.
Give me a date.
11th of October.
Oh, lock it in.
So touch wood so far, the weather's been perfect on that second Sunday for me. And it will be going ahead. So whether we get 50 guys there or the 92 that played last year, we will be raising funds this October, and like I said, we'll put this one in, get it going, and then see where we finish up, and then reload again for next year. And so if the bubbles and brunch doesn't go ahead, it certainly will be back bigger and better in 2021. But for the girls, just put that date in your calendars, the 11th of October. The bubble starts at 11 a.m. and goes through till, oh my God, some of the girls had to actually kick out last year. So until about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And but once again, with the bubbles and brunch, I was very lucky to get the support of Sam and Charlotte from Cottage by the Sea in Queenscliff. They donated all the marquees that we used. So we're hoping to, I've spoken to Sam. There's been a change at CEO level down there, so we've just got to catch up to make sure and see where we are with that. But their generosity for last year's event was amazing. Like that's where the money's made. We get. I'm so lucky to get people to donate equipment, and so that we haven't got a lot of costs going out. And so if we can find that support again this year for the event, depending on the distancing rules, we might be able to have the bubbles and brunch, but just limit the numbers to less than more. They're the sort of things I'm looking at now. So, but yeah, it'll be in some shape or form an event that we can sit with all the others that we've had, be very proud of, and then, like I said, hopefully we get over this year and then reload for 2021. So I'm just looking at the moment if there's any businessmen out there that have got a company that wants to jump on board and become a sponsor of the event would be fantastic.
This is why you're so good at what you do. Any opportunity, eh?
Perfect.
Never miss. And the event, I've been lucky, like with, Pete and I catch up quite a bit when I'm organising the event, but with my partner Kim and my niece Shane, Shane's input to the event she's just a godsend for me. She's the technical guru. She's the one that looks after all the finances, and Laura in the beginning was the go-to girl. And my mate Mark does all the printing and helps me with all the certificates that get handed out to everyone that supplies a donation, whether it be raffle or auction. Some they get a certificate of appreciation from the TEOF organisation, which is from me, I guess. Just thanking them for their support and generosity, and hopefully keep them involved for the years to come. So to those guys, and like I said before, the army of support that I have with the guys who play golf is just second to none. Like the event, I could sit here and rattle on about how great the day would be, but if no one comes and participates in the day, it's just me sitting there talking to a sign. So I'm overwhelmed with the support and the generosity, and which speaks volumes of how people feel when they meet Pete and hear Pete speak on the day about how he and Jen went through what they went through and the kids. Last year at the Bubbles and Brunch, we were very pleased to have Kate come down and be a part of it. And she got up and spoke to the girls there, and everyone was so impressed with how she spoke and the information she handed out. So I think the more the information gets out on where MND Victoria stands and what they're doing and where all the money raised, and we make sure that is underlined and highlighted, that every penny raised at Rock Off and at TEOF MND goes to MND Victoria. So they get every cent we raise. So once they get that message out, I think it does make it a lot easier to make these events successful.
And then all those funds, of course, go to the Jenny Simko research grant and fund the most amazing research. So, and Pete, let's jump on this very, very quickly. Rock Off 2021. I do know how taxing the event is on you and the family and all the helpers that you have, but I've heard a little rumor that 2021 is going to be bigger and better than ever.
Oh yes, well we hope so. I mean, we've got to be positive and look at it with the glass half full. But yeah, look, we're hoping. It's very hard with live entertainment, where things are going to go. So I think we're going to have to put our thinking caps on, or we might need to do some brainstorming with some options around, what we might need to do for the next event. So we'll keep March next year in mind. We'll look forward to putting on and raising some more funds. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, look, it's been great having you both on, and I think Pete to receive the check presentation is a huge highlight, and I think that leaves everyone on a bit of a high. So thank you for all the work you put in. Thank you, Russ, to all the work that you put in for TEOF and the support that you give Pete and the teams that you both work with. So look, I think I'll call it a night there. I mentioned last week off this topic that our current fundraiser, Australia Moves for MND, we're right in the middle of it. If you're keen on jumping on and getting creative and taking part in one of the only fundraising events that can be undertaken at the moment, please do, am4mnd.org.au. I am taking on a big challenge, and I have not done my kilometres today, so I have about a 3-hour walk ahead of me. So in this dark and gloomy weather, so
oh boy,
call me crazy. But look, thanks Pete, thanks Russ.
Thank you, Daniel.
Good night, and we'll catch up soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Bye.